Macho Man vs CM Punk. This isn't a dream match video. Although Macho Man vs CM Punk would be the ultimate dream match, we'll talk about that in a little. But in this video, we're going to talk about who the real outlaw was. Who was more dangerous in real life? Who did Vince McMahon hate more? Was it Macho Man Randy Savage, who main evented WrestleMania 5 against Hulk Hogan as heavyweight champion at the absolute peak of Hulkamania? And this is the 80s, when Hulk was like Michael Jackson and Randy was fighting him over something he punched people in the face for in real life, even daring to look from the corner of their eyes at his wife, the lovely Miss Elizabeth. He would eventually fall out with Vince and leave WWE never to return. And then we have CM Punk, who dropped the pipe bomb on John Cena, who some revere as the greatest of all time, and took the WWE title from him at the height of his popularity. And Punk is also known for punching people in the face backstage, marrying AJ Lee and walking away from the WWE. And he didn't return for a decade until Vince was getting phased out the company. Who was the real outlaw? Who would run the industry if both were in their prime today? Would Macho Man have dominated this era? Would Punk have survived in the ruthless 80s locker rooms? Let's get into it. Chapter 1. Macho Man made wrestling fear him. Punk made it respect him. Macho Man Randy Savage wasn't just born into wrestling. He was made for it. Son of Angelo Poffo, brother of Leapin' Lanny Poffo, or the Genius. But he didn't coast on his name. He didn't walk in with a crown. He tore through the territories in the 80s where it's all different owners. So he had to earn respect in all those different territories with an intensity that scared promoters. He was too unpredictable, too real, too dangerous. They didn't know how to control him, so they contained him. But you can't box Savage. He built the Macho Man from scratch. The voice, the madness, some would say is a gimmick, but it became who he was. He took the business of wrestling so serious, he became the Macho Man. These were the days when it wasn't sports entertainment. Everybody thought wrestling was real. In those days, if Vince McMahon put the title on you and you lost a fight in a bar, the title would come off and you would be disgraced. Macho Man held the Intercontinental title for years and even held the heavyweight title for a year in the days where Hogan held that title for over a decade. No one got that belt in all those years, but Randy pushed through. So let's just say, in real life, Randy was a guy you didn't want to have a little too much to drink when he was around. And then you got CM Punk, a legitimate Muay Thai fighter, no famous last name, no family tree in the business, just the streets of Chicago, one of the most dangerous places in the world. Duct tape on his fist and a refusal to play the game. Indie shows and bingo halls, Ring of Honor wars, IWA Mid-South bloodbaths. He wasn't built for sports entertainment. He was built to disrupt it. Where Savage made wrestling fear him, Punk made wrestling respect him. He got no handouts. He had to fight his way to the top. When he got to WWE, Vince didn't see anything in him. Paul Heyman did. Behind the scenes, Paul was telling Vince, this is your guy. And Vince did what he always does. He didn't promise anything. He gave him a shot. And when Punk got any time on that mic, he made the most of it. When he did the Straight Edge Society, he played a Charlie Manson type figure and stole the show. So who do you think had the harder road? The second gen warrior who came up in the 80s at a dangerous time, or the street soldier who took the dangerous route just to get in the game and who forced the industry to give him a seat at that table? Now let's talk about mic skills. Who was better on the mic, Macho Man or CM Punk? Macho Man's promos are something of legend. People will never forget that voice. He didn't cut promos, he performed spells. The voice, he created that.
Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship out.
He lived it, never broke it. Not in interviews, not in public, not even with Miss Elizabeth. She said it herself. He was always macho. There was no off switch. He could say something as simple as, ooh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah, right now tonight.
And made it echo through time. That catchphrase outlived him. It's still on Slim Jim commercials to this day. Because when Savage spoke, the world listened. He would talk about cream rising to the top and somehow make it seem pathetic. His words were wild and unpredictable, but his charisma, undeniable. Then you got CM Punk, a different kind of dangerous. He didn't yell, he exposed. He used more of a Vince Russo shoot style. He used the mic like a scalpel, cutting deep, targeting the system. From Ring of Honor to WWE, he didn't just hype a match. He made you question the whole company. The pipe bomb wasn't just a promo. It was a declaration of war. It was exposing everything that was going on in the industry at that time. He sat cross-legged on live TV and said maybe this company would be better when Vince McMahon is dead. And he meant it. Vince, Triple H, Stephanie, Johnny Ace, nobody was safe. Macho Man delivered madness. Punk delivered anarchy. So who was more powerful? The man who bent reality every time he spoke, or the man who broke the fourth wall and still showed up to work the next week? Now let's talk in-ring work. Who was better in the ring? Macho Man or CM Punk? Macho Man Randy Savage has some of the most legendary matches in WWE history, even WCW. They were violent poetry. WrestleMania 3, Savage vs. Steamboat, still considered the top 3 match of all time. Planned, move for move, paced to perfection. Every opponent looked like a threat, going toe-to-toe with the immortal Hulk Hogan. Legendary, the mega powers exploding. Every moment with Macho felt so big. He didn't wrestle like the rest of the golden era. He wrestled like he was in a real war, because in his head, he took this dead serious. And CM Punk respects that. That's why he hits the elbow drop off the top and throws up the 2-finger salute to the sky every time. That's that macho energy, and Punk never hit it. But Punk's power wasn't just physical, it was psychological. Go watch Punk vs. Cena at Money in the Bank 2011. It wasn't just a 5-star match, it was a cultural shift. The contract hanging in the balance, the Chicago crowd losing their minds, the kiss goodbye to Vince after taking the title. Iconic. Punk made pro wrestling feel real again. He gave it a little taste of NWO in that PG era. So who was better in the ring? The perfectionist who made even the elbow drop legendary, or the tactician who turned every match into a war for the truth? Now let's talk some real life. Let's talk about the 2 men Vince McMahon might have hated the most. First up, Savage. By the mid-90s, Randy still had plenty left in the tank, but Vince decided that he was done. Many disagreed. Fans definitely didn't agree with it. Vince shoved him into a commentator role and pushed him out of the spotlight. But Savage was much more than that. So in 1994, he decided to walk. And where did he walk to? Straight to WCW. And that's where it all exploded. Savage and Hulk Hogan, 2 of the biggest names Vince was ever associated with, turned on the WWE. The mega powers were now in WCW, and Savage would get betrayed by Hogan, which ignited the most powerful storyline in wrestling history, the NWO. This wasn't just a faction, it was a revolution. If you weren't alive at the time to see it when it was going on live, you will never understand. You can't go back and look on YouTube and understand the impact of the NWO. It blurred the lines between real and fake. It made WCW look cooler, grittier, and more dangerous. Fans switched over, ratings flipped, and it even is the reason why Vince had to go so hardcore, and you had the Stone Colds and the Rocks. They were sparked by the NWO. The NWO dominated TV, and for the first time ever, Vince was losing. 83 weeks, that's how long WCW beat WWE in the ratings. Eric Bischoff killed it, and Savage, he didn't fade. He joined the NWO, won the WCW World title, was involved with the NWO Wolfpack. So what did Vince do? He didn't forgive him. He didn't bring him back. He didn't even mention his name. Savage was blacklisted. No Hall of Fame, no Legends deal, no tribute. Just silence for over 20 years. Why? Some say Macho Man was one of Vince's best friends and he felt very betrayed when he left. And then there's that dark rumor that Savage crossed a personal line with someone very close to Vince. Nobody confirms it, but the whispers have always been there. And the hate, it was real. Now let's talk about CM Punk. He walked out on the WWE, sued the company's doctor, got sued back, exposed everything on the Colt Cabana podcast, destroyed Triple H publicly, mocked Vince by name, then went to AEW and caused chaos. And after all of that, he came back, but not because of Vince. Triple H and Nick Khan made that call. So who did Vince really hate more? It's hard to tell unless you talk to the man. One sued the company and somehow returned. The other helped build the biggest storyline in wrestling history and nearly put him out of business forever. Now let's talk about the it factor between the two. Macho or Punk? Who had the main event aura? Some wrestlers don't need to say a word. They just walk out and the crowd already knows. That's the main event. And nobody embodied that more than Macho Man Randy Savage. He didn't need pyro. He didn't need commentary hyping him up. The moment he stepped through that curtain, People knew he was that guy. Tassels flying, shades on, robe sparkling, and that wild stare like he might snap on anybody in sight. You felt the electricity. Savage didn't just look like a star, he looked like a threat. He didn't even need a mic. He was already money. Now let's talk about CM Punk. Punk's aura came from the words. That mic was his weapon. He didn't scream, he exposed. And every time he picked it up, the crowd leaned in because they knew he might say something that nobody else would dare. He didn't need flashy gear. He didn't need fireworks. He showed up in a hoodie and still controlled the room. So let's take the mic away. Who still feels like the main event? Punk or Macho Man? Now let's talk about who had greatness after the fall. Macho or Punk? Who had the bigger legacy after the fall? Let's talk about the kind of legacy that no company could give you. The kind that they try to erase. Macho Man Randy Savage, they try to erase him for many years. Savage still went to WCW, helped launch the NWO, won the world title. He kept doing his thing, and Vince never forgave him for that. The fans, they never let him die. Every Halloween, somebody had a Macho Man costume. Every time I looked at a WWE program, there was a guy there dressed like the Macho Man. Every wrestling school, promo classes studied him. Every wrestler points to the sky before that elbow drop. That's Randy's mark. In 2015, WWE finally put him in the Hall of Fame, but it was too late. He was already gone. No last match, no final promo, never received the flowers that he deserved. Just a quiet corporate handshake with a ghost. Now let's talk about CM Punk. Punk left on his own terms, sued the company, exposed the system, but even when he was champion, John Cena was still that guy. The company never let him be the face, or you could argue he just couldn't rise to the level of being a face. But the people revered him as such. The chants never stopped. CM Punk became a myth. He was a name fans wouldn't shut up about, a symbol of rebellion. Savage, he never got that chance, never got to receive his flowers, never came back. So who had the bigger legacy after the fall? The one they erased while he was still breathing, or the one who came back to life but left part of his legend behind? Let's talk about it. Macho or Punk? Who was the greater superstar? Randy Savage winning that WWF title during the Hulk Hogan era when nobody but Hogan got that belt stamped him as an icon. He didn't get that hot because Vince chose him. Savage carried the company when Hogan dipped to Hollywood to film movies. He stayed loyal when they benched him. Now ask yourself, if Savage was here in this era, where would he sit with the other stars? Now let's talk about CM Punk. Punk changed the entire industry, but even in his prime, they never let him be the face. He held the WWE Championship, but Cena, The Rock, and part-timers still main evented. He was the voice of the voiceless, but never got the crown. So who was the greater superstar? The man who took the throne when no one else could, or the man who screamed the truth but never got the keys to the kingdom? I want to know what you think in the comments, and I'm going to give you my opinion. For me, it's not even close. Randy Macho Man Savage is one of the greatest of all time. My 1 and 2s are Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. His ring work, top notch. Promos, Punk is a beast on the mic, but Macho Man, he just steals the show. He's a vibe. Punk has to say something that sounds like a shoot. Macho is the shoot. When he pulls up, it was just different. You knew he was the real deal. If we're talking about aura, Savage. Body build, it's not even close. Savage. Mic skills, we could go Punk because Punk is very versatile. But Randy on the mic was Savage. In ring, I'm going with Savage. And that's not a slight on Punk. But I watched Savage when I was 4 years old to a teenager. Punk came when I was older. So it's different to a kid coming up right now. Punk could be that guy. But if this match was able to happen, it would be a dream match. But I would want 80s Macho versus best in the world CM Punk or straight edge society Punk. That's actually my favorite Punk era. But let me know what your favorite Punk era was. Who wins in their prime? Who ran harder? Who meant more to this thing of ours that we love so much, the wrestling world? Let me know that in the comments. I'm Sos the Ghost. This is Ghost World Order. Like, subscribe, and comment. And oh yeah, or should I say, ooh yeah, we ghosting, baby.